So he's Marcus. I'm Chad. This is obviously WrestleCorp. Just a little update. I'm changing the name of Wednesday's show again. It's been through like 9 name changes at this point. It's pretty much standard fare. NerdCorp no longer really applies to it in terms of like the brand name, but it still has essence of this show. So I'm calling it WrestleCorp Review because we talk about wrestling shows for the entirety of the show basically. So it's now become the official sister show. And I think that works a lot better than NerdCorp. So this is WrestleCorp. Wednesdays are WrestleCorp Review. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Should have just done that in the first place, but I like making things hard on myself. That was literally the first name I was thinking of, too, so I was like, whatever. So there we go. So, gotta bring this up. I'm kind of waffling on, and I don't know why that's such a negative word. He's a waffler. Waffles are delicious.
Yes, they are.
I've been waffling on if I want to bring up his name, but there's a hack reporter out there who's trying to, yes, bamboozling, isn't it? Who's trying to clear the name of Fabulous Moolah. Oh boy,
That's hilarious because you know I just read that in the news, right?
Yeah.
What you put on the site.
So I did mention him on the website, so I don't know, Marcus. Should I bring up his name? It's the worst. It's the most douchiest name ever. It fits what he's trying to do.
douches of the year with douchey names, and this sucks for this first one that came out against a particular person because I grew up on this cartoon, Johnny Bravo.
Yes. Oh. Hey.
So this is douche number 2.
So all right, listen. I learned how to dance from Johnny Bravo. Hey, do the mocha. Do 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 do. Hey, pretty mama. And there's a great so you obviously watch Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
And you remember the bumpers they used to have. Do you remember the one where they had like a cult of Johnny Bravo?
Oh yeah.
And they would all comb their hairs back and
Yes.
practice the whoa mama. And then they end it by ripping off the Hare Krishnas by going Johnny Bravo, Johnny Bravo. He's the bra. I'm like, that's some funny shit. As a kid, I didn't get it, but as an adult, I'm well aware now. So yeah, Johnny Bravo. We didn't even talk about him because what's to talk about? He literally did nothing, and he tanked his own credibility because he's like, I'll reveal all evidence. I can't reveal all evidence. Ugh.
Like if this is how women feel when dudes try to big up their sex game and then they show up with a fun size disadvantage.
There's a movie with James McAvoy. I think it's called Filth. He's a cop in Scotland, and he puts his junk on the photocopier, and he enlarges it, and then he slips it to this girl he wants to hook up with, and she's like, "Yeah, hell yeah!" And then they go and they do it, and she's like, "Wait, what?"
I got all this stuff on Roman Reigns. I had it, but the Shatari took it. The Shatari.
The Shatari. So all right, we'll say his name. It is Nigel Sherrod. I feel like because a charade is something that you make up. So his name is Nigel Sherrod. Maybe it's Sherrod, Sherrod, but I'm gonna say Sherrod because that's what his whole fallacy is. So here's the thing. I understand. We'll call it counterjournalism. In counterjournalism, or basically you do it the same as you would a cross-examination in court. You look at the evidence given to you, then you try to disprove it or discredit it. That's not what he's doing, and he needs a lesson in how to do it. This is basically like a Lego stacking competition. He's like, I have 9 people who say she never did these things. What are they saying? They're saying that they were never involved in these things. That at no point were these 9 ever subject to these allegations. Okay. That's cool. I'm pretty sure Ted Bundy met more than just a handful of people. So the idea that she wasn't doing it to everyone is not a big stretch, and at no point did anyone insinuate otherwise. No one said that Fabulous Moolah did all these horrific things to everyone. But we have at least 6 women who have come out and basically said the same corroborating evidence in different regards. They're not all the same facsimile. They're not all the same, stories just stockpiled. They're all different. But they all report to the same thing. Just because you have 9 people speaking to her credibility doesn't take away from the allegations. That's not how you do this, Sherrod. You need to do this by actually looking into the allegations. That's how you disprove it, not just by saying, well, Wendy Richter, or I think it was Rennie Richter, or Leather Lynn, was that her name, Leather Lynn or something like that? She's saying she never saw any of this. Wait, you've never seen someone, forcing drugs on someone or potential rape? I thought those things were done in the middle of the streets, Marcus. I thought it was your gay pride parades, your Super Bowl victories, and assaults. I thought those were the 3 most common things to find in the streets. I guess not. So this idea, this facsimile he's trying to generate is bullshit. And now he's trying to boycott Snickers. Oh, boy. Sherrod, hungry? Why wait? Marcus, hearing these, it's not like these allegations or these testimonies of Moolah's credibility are taking away from any of the accusations. And here's the thing, we're only now hearing some of these testimonies while we've been hearing about these allegations for 20 years. This isn't a new thing. And to act like these women are somehow justifying or explaining away Moolah's behavior by saying, well, she never did it to me. How many choir boys weren't molested by priests? Does it take away from the ones that were?
We talk about this all the time. With everything that's happening in society right now, all these sickos, because it really feels like the U.S. is basically an offshoot of Gotham at this point. Yeah. All these damn villains running around.
Ooh, can we be Batman? Wait, you'd probably have to be Batman, because I would definitely kill some bitches. So I'd be Asriel. Yeah, let's.
I'm just trying to figure out who in the hell is the Joker, because it's the guy I see on TV every day. Okay, but I feel like there's some offshoots going on.
I feel like he's Luther.
He's Luther. Okay, it's a bunch of Luther and a bunch of Jeromes. Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna have to let whoever Superman is take care of Lex Luthor, and you and I will figure out who the Joker is, and we'll deal with him.
Yeah. But,
and then we'll get into a fight because you want to handle it respectfully by the letter of the law, and I'm like, no, I got a sword that's on fire like all the time. I want to use it.
I dig Grace and Chaz Jason Todd. I love
him. Basically, let me just shoot him. No, you can't shoot him. No, let me just shoot him. No, fuck, you can't shoot him. You swore, dick. I'm telling. You want to murder a guy.
Ironically enough, this is Chad pre-death and Lazarus juice.
Yeah, just wait. Just wait. Oh, I'm going to come out of that thing stretching like, oh, boy. That was fun. Who wants to go next? Anyone?
Oh, man. Yeah, but we talk about it all the time with all the crap that's going on, all the stories that we hear, from, children and celebrities. Imagine the stories we don't hear.
Right.
And you going through that, it really, takes me back to all the times either in real life, on television, the movies, where the kid will find out, like, in their, early 20s or 30s when they're older that, their father abused their mother.
Mm-hmm. Or abused them and they had repressed it.
Yeah, and they can't reconcile, the whole thing actually happened. Like, I never saw Dad lay a hand on you. They never let you see it. She never let you see it. She washed herself up before, to protect you or whatever. And with this, I mean, it's like, look, going back to the whole Cosby situation, just because, we got the portrayal and the great work he put out on TV, that don't mean he wasn't a different type of person behind the scenes, behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. And everybody's got two sides and what have you. And maybe this guy, knew a different version of her. He might have never had a bad crossing with her, even the people that's, collaborating with what he's saying. But that don't mean the other stuff didn't. So maybe he's just on this kick. Well, since y'all shitting on, allow me to throw some fair fairy dust on her as well. It's like, dude, at this point, let it go. Let it go. She was a shitty individual to a lot of people, and she didn't deserve that honor they was trying to give, stupidly trying to give her, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason why they really even changed it is because of the whole Snicker. So you trying to, boycott Snicker? First of all, that's not gonna work. It's one of the longest and best candy bars going ever. But they seem to be the only ones that was right in the situation from the get-go. Mm-hmm. So that's I don't get it. Like I understand if he legitimately did never have a cross-world or bad interaction with her, but at this point, him coming out saying that it isn't gonna, like you said, it isn't gonna do anything against the legit allegations that we've heard for the longest time. Like this forest has been smoking for a long time, and the fire has been there. Okay, so just let it go, Yogi. Okay.
So there's some contradictory things in this that I want to kind of speak to, and here's who's defending her: Susan Tex Green, Leilani Kai, Golden Girl Lisa Darnell, obviously Moolah's daughter Mary Ellison, Brittany Brown, Diamond Little, Native American wrestler Winona Littleheart, who's actually Luna Vachon's tag team partner, or was, I should say, Peggy Lee Leather, and Joyce Gable. Now, a lot of these are like very much, well, if they were going to do it, she would have done it to me kind of situations. In fact, Joyce Gable even says, when I went to Puerto Rico and Mexico, I had pretty blonde, long hair. If she was going to pimp anybody out, I would have been #1 on the list. So some of this does kind of feel like, well, I was prettier than the girls they were doing this to. And that's not the only one saying that way. Now, there are some who are flat out. I fucking hate when people text me when I'm doing a goddamn show. Stop. All right. Anyway. See, now I can't fucking think where I was. Some are basically honing in on the contract situation. But here's the thing: we were always told that she took 25% of the payouts. But that's not the only thing that we were talking about. We also talked about times when she would take more than that, and would take upwards of 50% of the payouts. So we were always told it was 25%, but now two different women, I swear to God, I do not care. Stop. I'm turning the phone off. Turning you off. Next 2 hours, I am done. Do not talk to me. All right, there we go. We're being told several different things. Why can't people just text everything in one text, Marcus? Why can't people do that? You got 3 fucking sentences. Don't send 3 different texts. Just send one goddamn text. Sorry. That's a pet peeve. And I've yelled at people about that. Like, just because, like, I'm trying to, I work, like, 24/7, man. And when I see that little flashing green light on my phone, I want to throw it through a wall. Sorry. Now I'm good. Get it out. But this is a combination of anger, because this is some real bullshit. Dude, I had to go and like, walk away from the news when I read this today, because I was so angry. So we're being told it was 25. Susan Tex and I believe Brittany Brown are saying that it was 30%. So already she's taking different degrees of money from different people. That's not shady? I'm pretty sure that's pretty shady. And all of the accusations, well, I never saw it. I was never involved. I was never treated this way. And then you also get the whole, the whole bullshit where it's like, she never did to any of us. How can you speak for everyone? You do not know what happens 24/7 with somebody. Unless they are attached at your hip, you do not know. And I mean literally, like stuck on me. Matt Damon and Greg Kinnear stuck. You do not know.
Oh my God! I was victim ready. If anybody was victim ready, it was me. And if she didn't get me, I was the most gullible there.
So we already have 2 people who are now offering different opinions on this. We have, we mentioned Joyce Gable, who's like, I would have been #1 on the list. Then we have Golden Girl Lisa Darnell, who's like, that's just ridiculous. I would have been the one she pimped out. I was young, fresh, You know
how bad that makes you sound when you. If we were talking about like an actual like serial rapist, and you had people coming out, I was rape ready. What are you? What is this doing? Like what? And what does this say about you back then? That you're proud of saying this statement? Like, yeah, what does it say about your mental state now? Jesus.
So here's where it's even more interesting, because now Mary Ellison's throwing a lot of heat. That's the daughter of Moolah, on Buddy Lee, who was also lumped in with these allegations, but he wasn't being named. He wasn't being named after a battle royal, or battle royal wasn't named after him, so we didn't talk about him. But he's accused of the same things. And she's like, well, some girls went with him after the split, and some girls went with my mom. Some of them stayed with my mom, and the ones that went with him, I wouldn't be surprised if there were drugs and prostitution involved, which would be back on him, not on my mother. So wait, he all of a sudden just decided to do these things after the split? Because there are allegations of them doing it together before the split. So shut the fuck up. I mean, I hate when kids try to talk about their asshole parents and don't recognize their... Tamina, this one's for you, because your dad's a piece of shit. He probably killed a chick, had it covered up, never took responsibility. He's a bastard. I don't give a shit if he is your father. Fuck off. I don't care. And same thing to Mary Ellison. Your mother was a horrible person. We have at least 6 allegations, if not more, who are outright saying that she contributed, perpetuated, and buried them in just trash for years.
Yeah.
And then you have Little Diamond. They're just crazy. Now, the only one who I would say actually handled it with tact was Winona Littleheart. She said she never pimped me out, and as far as I know, none of the other girls that I know. That doesn't mean that she's speaking for everyone. She's just saying she has no knowledge of it. That's all you need to say. A lot of these are, like, really over the top, though.
Yeah, it's like going back to your, talking about the parent thing. It's like you can't separate your vision of the person from who they actually are. Mm-hmm. And that really, goes to a problem we see today with how people basically just worship some of these celebrities as gods. The Kardashians, the Beyoncés of the world, other people, like they can do no wrong, and if they do something that's blatantly outright wrong, they come in their defense they find anything they can to defend it or what have you. Or you also have the celebrities that even do the slightest thing and all of a sudden they're the devil. So these extremes, man, I don't get it. I don't know what, Moolah may have done for these people, or hell, maybe she set them up and got them a lot of money or what have you, and they trying to defend her. But it's like you can't. You sound stupid, one, and then you're discrediting the people who are actually hurt, because you can't wrap your head around that this person may have had completely different interactions with other people than they did from you.
I mean, even Hitler had a wife. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that somewhere along the way Moolah was nice to somebody for a few minutes. Here's the one that I think Peggy Lee Leather really just shoots the entire argument in the foot. She basically says, I wasn't pimped out by Moolah at all. She was a shrewd businesswoman, whatever. When brought up the allegations that Luna Vachon was forced by Moolah to take inappropriate pictures for a local doctor while she was underage, she doesn't even know the full details, because Luna Vachon has said on 2 different interviews with Canoe Slam. It's a Canadian sports website that sometimes gets brought up. She's done 2 different pieces for them, or was interviewed in at least 2 different pieces, and I'm sure in other forms as well, where she said she started training with Moolah when she was 16 and then took a break from wrestling and then came back in her 20s. So this idea that this happened is not even out of the realm of possibility, because she went back in her 20s. She said outright, I was 22, 23 or what have you, and I went back to Moolah's to train again. And Peggy Lee tries to dispute the idea that Vachon had this done to her by saying, I think it was Dr. Goldstein, and he liked women's wrestling, and he'd like to take photos of them. Moolah would just, approach the girl and just ask them, would they like to go out there? I know several of them that went out there. Not one of them told me that he did anything derogatory in any way or mentioned anything about sex. When Luna got there, she'd already had 2 children at the time and was going through divorce with her husband. She was in her 20s when she got to Moolah. She wasn't 16. However, she was 16 the first time she was there. We know this. And to be specific here, to really kind of give you a broad scope, Luna said that her father and her uncle and her aunt and Andre the Giant, the Vachon's kind of god brother, and her, not actual but surrogate godfather, all tried to tell her when she was 15, 16, don't go into wrestling. Don't do it. It is not good for women. It is rough. It is a bad environment for women. It's not a good place to be. And then she stopped going. So obviously she found out the hard way, and she went back when she was ready. Or maybe because she knew that she could make money and she needed it. I don't know why she went back, but she retired young. And there's a reason for that, too.
So I guess looking at her argument from that perspective, she's basically trying to say that Moolah didn't directly do anything perverted, but she basically facilitated the avenue for a pervert to get off.
Yeah, Peggy Lee just indicted Moolah on knowing what went on and sending them anyway. Because she doesn't know obviously Peggy Lee doesn't know the whole story, because we have interviews stated that she started training with Moolah when she was 16. Clearly, Peggy Lee wasn't there when she was 16. She was only there when she came back the second time around. We've known that she went back to Moolah. That's been established. And you could argue, well, why would you go back if you've been through trauma? Dude, have you ever seen battered wife syndrome? It's real, man. You get put through the ringer enough times, you think this is what love is. You think that this is how being taken. This is a professionalism, because you get a warped sense of it. I would fucking love to be able to Charles Xavier some of these women and go into their minds and actually see how many bouts that they had to deal with regards to Moolah, and how it shouldn't have been, but how it probably was. Now they just suppress it.
Yeah. They suppress it. They think it becomes a new normal. We talked about that before too, man. Like you think, if you deviate from it, like somehow you put the blame on yourself. You think the person is really showing you some form of love, or you feel like you can't really. It's weird. Like the worse the stuff gets, the more attached a lot of times the people get, which is really sick. But it really is, some psychological stuff going on, real deep stuff. So it's crazy. But with these stores, at the end of the day, you can't tell somebody else their truth.
No.
Period. You weren't there. You can't tell them what happened. A lot of these people probably try to suppress a lot of this stuff, and they just can't hold it anymore, and they're letting it out. And what do they really have to gain? What do they have to gain from doing this? Like, all the time you spend getting this stuff off and getting this press, when you could be spending your time getting more positive press and staying away from pity and all that, because people don't be wanting that, man. Just all that, the emotional baggage that comes with that, from not only dealing with yourself but other people as well. So what do they have to gain from this? But you can't tell somebody, what happened to them. You weren't there. You're going off the perception of a person that, hell, they might have not even known Moolah that well. Like I said, it's from a certain perspective in a business that at that time it was so, just shit. You talking about bad for women, it was just bad, for people in general, but specific women. You talking about drugs, alcohol, chauvinism, misogyny. At an all-time high. That was a norm back then, to be shitty women and to get effed up and, to create effed up environments. That's, it's like people use these horrible drugs today and they call it like recreational use. No, it's effing you up. It's killing you. It's killing people around you, because you're selling that you're affecting whole communities. But, a lot of times you caught up in it and it's benefiting you some way. You're so deep in it, you can't see that.
And that's kind of the point that I had made it in tonight's news post, was that this was the norm. Moolah wasn't the disease. She was a symptom of it. The stuff that I know, or I've heard, I should say, I heard happened in Titan Towers with Vince McMahon Jr. and Sr. Some of the stuff that happened in Minnesota and California and Texas, like it's Puerto Rico and Mexico specifically. It is horrific that we still have an industry to talk about, because had this stuff all come to light in the 60s and 70s, there would be nothing.
Yeah.
So, the idea that these women are from a bygone era who think that the stuff that happened to them was fine is not just something you find in pro wrestling. Like, you hear people who grew up in the 50s and 60s, and some of them are like, listen, that was just the way it was. We didn't like the fact that, looking back, we don't like that it was that way, but it just was. You talk to people today who are adamant supporters of equality, and in the 60s they're like, yeah, back then you just didn't deal with people who didn't look like you. And that was from all sides of the line. So this idea that these women think that what happened to them may have been fine or not illegal or that's just the way it was, that doesn't justify it.
Yeah.
It may explain it, but it damn sure doesn't justify it.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and this notion that because it didn't happen to them, it didn't happen at all, is bullshit. It's a fallacy.
Yeah.
If he really wanted to figure out the truth, he would be asking everyone. Because I've never once seen a trial where you didn't interview the victims as well, or the alleged victims. You interview everyone. You interview everyone who can speak to the caliber of somebody's name. You speak to everyone who can speak to someone's motives and behavioral patterns. You speak to everyone, not just the ones that fit your narrative. See, here's what I try to do, and here's what he's doing. I may have a side I'm on, but I go into every situation looking for the truth. I was working on a bit of an expose that I ended up walking away from because I didn't find anything. I didn't just throw my eggs in the baskets that I had, the slight allegations or the possible misconceptions or not misconceptions, wrongdoings, we'll just say. I didn't just throw my eggs in those baskets and went for it. I interviewed everyone, even if they killed the story, because I want the truth, not the story. Sherrod Brown, or not Sherrod Brown, what's his name? What is it? Something Sherrod? I completely blocked his name out for good reason. Ah, shit. Marcus left. He left me. Oh no, I'm left hanging.
No, I'm back. I muted myself. Damn it. Something Sherrod. What?
Nigel Sherrod. Nigel Sherrod.
That.
So Nigel Sherrod is trying to prove the story he wants told, not the truth. Because if he wanted the truth, he would interview all the living individuals who accused Moolah. And go from there as well, because he doesn't want their side. He feels they've had their side. But this is a two-parter right here. One, I've always learned that not every piece of news is fair and balanced. Sometimes the news is just the news, even if it makes you look bad. Also, you think about how many people in Hollywood, like think about this. How many people in Hollywood said, I had no understanding or no idea Harvey Weinstein had done these things? I don't want to speak ill of her because I'm not sure who it was, but didn't someone like Meryl Streep defend him? Or you know, say, well, he never did it to me. I don't know if it was Meryl Streep specifically, but it's somebody of, like, someone who was very popular among women, someone who was, you know, seen as a big feminist. She's like, it never happened to me. Like, that somehow excused it.
Yeah, I don't know exactly who it was. But it's like when you hear those stories and you hear how many people it happened to and who it happened to, you know, the level of notoriety that, of course, they have now. It's like, even if you didn't directly see it, you heard rumblings. And you heard them numerous times, and you know what? You just took them as hearsay and you ignored them. And now it's like, know what happened, but I think a lot of times people just, you know, sins of the son should not bother the father, that whole thing. If it's not directly in front of my door, I don't need to open it.
Mm-hmm.
That happened, that sort of thing, which is crap, which is a real shitty, you know, way of thinking to have, because it's really why things are so messed up today. A lot of people see after things and don't say nothing because they don't directly affect them right now. So, you know, it's nuts, man. But stuff happens, you know, all the time. And going to even deeper perspective, you're talking about how bad that time was. A lot of times, of course, when it comes to racism, stuff like that, of course, our society has evolved from a lot of the horrors that, you know, our previous ancestors and stuff had to deal with. But a lot of times that evil doesn't completely go away. It just evolves. Mm. So, you know, now we don't have people just directly treating women bad. Of course not in this time we're living in. You just have guys, you know, who might be in a position of hiring power, just hiring all the chicks they want to sleep with and finessing them in the you know, putting them, manipulating them into thinking they're in a certain position because they earned it, instead of, you know, them putting them there so they can benefit them later. Mm-hmm. The whole thing. You know, you have very crafty individuals like you. It's plenty of guys out there on the indie specifically, which, you know, a lot of women have called out, just sleazy guys, you know, manipulating people and specifically women just so they can sleep with them. And you hear the horror stories all the time. A lot of women come out, some don't. but it happens all the time. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times it's people directly in the industry, whether it be managers, promoters, or hell, even wrestlers. And a lot of times these people are connected,
Mm-hmm.
which is worse because they facilitate this environment, and it's kind of like a, pass the remote control type of things, and it sucks, but this is the world we live in. A lot of time that stuff doesn't dissipate; it just evolves and finesse with the times to go more under the radar, but it doesn't completely go away.
No, I will say this: it has shrunk. You know that size has shrunk significantly because we're more aware of our actions,
Yeah.
and we take better steps to make sure that doesn't. So that was just me trying to restore some faith in humanity. So this whole situation is just it's a Carney trying to keep the Carney game alive. I don't know why. Until you can sit down and hack through the accusations, you'll never prove anyone wrong about this. Like, you need to have corroborating witnesses, evidence. You need to have a lot to disprove these women who are going on record. And just having other people say other things doesn't do that. It just means that they weren't involved. You're doing nothing for your own cause because you're too much of an idiot to realize what you need to do to actually exonerate someone. You are pretty bad at this. You should seriously just stop because you're only doing it for publicity at this point. I looked at his Twitter. It's every tweet seemed to be about this. It was a retweet or another posting of something and so on and so. He's doing this for publicity.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think that's fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, what does he get to gain at this point? What he's trying to reverse the decision that WWE's made? That's not gonna happen.
Yes.
What you,
Yes. Actually, he is. and he one of the tweets even said, "We're closer to the reversal." No, it's not happening.
I don't know what glue these guys are sniffing, but I'm pretty sure it's not Elmer's grade. This is some powerful stuff.
You lose. Good day, sir.
I said good day.
I looked. I don't know if Meryl Streep said anything about Harvey Weinstein, but she did sue him for defamation. Defamation? Something like that.
Defamation.
Defamation. There you go. I was doing that almonds commercial. What are you eating? Almonds? You mean almonds? Yeah, that's what I said. Almonds. Mark, that's what I said. Defamation. I could see it in my head how it was spelled. I just couldn't pronounce it correctly. Whatever. But she did sue Weinstein for that. So I lumped her into that uncorrectly. I know there have been people who are defending Weinstein, and that was more my point. Just because you didn't know of it doesn't mean it's not happening. And that's exactly the stance that people should be taking with this Moolah stuff. If it was one person, you can doubt that. If it was two and they have a similar story, okay. But three, all with very different stories, all from 25 years ago, none of which are trying to get lawsuits? Why would you? At this point, it's about healing for these women, not about anything else. So why would they come out and say this if it wasn't true? Like, shit, I don't even like talking about the times I wet my bed when I was 5. That was traumatic enough. I just talked about it. Now I need to go to therapy. But you look at things that are significant, that carry some real heavy connotations, you really wonder about this stuff. Because just look at it this way. These women had to come out and say what they said, and now someone is trying to discredit them, not even by talking to them or trying to figure out what happened, but by going to other people entirely to try to get them to talk bad about people that they don't even know. That's a heavy weight.
Yeah, and even more so than that, a lot of times this is why, when things like abuse and sexual assault and this type of manipulation happens, even far outside of wrestling, this is why a lot of victims don't come out, because people in these certain positions get out and try to discredit them and defame them, because like you said, they're just trying to prove their narrative instead of looking at it objectively and hitting all sides. They just come out and try to discredit it, and people just don't want to go through that. They already have to relive it, just bringing it up. And now they got to worry about you tearing them down, trying to make it seem like they imagine the whole thing. So it's crazy, but this is the world we live in, and this type of crap happens all the time with far more credible individuals than this guy.
So that is what it is. We spent a long time talking about this. I think it's time to move on, so let's move on. Marcus, let's do the official rundown, though, because this is the end of the YouTube section. So, realnerdcorp.com, RealNerdCorp.com. Twitter is NERDCORP. We got the personal Twitter is CHADNERDCORP. Marcus, your Twitter is ParadoxKid. That's PARADOXKID.
I am the kid.
And hit him up with that alternate wrestling goodness you do.
Of course, you can find me covering all the weekly Impact Wrestling teleconferences, and check out my interview with future WWE Hall of Famer Jeff Jarrett in the current March issue of Total Wrestling Magazine. Pick that up at go purchase a copy at totalwrestlingmagazine.co.uk. Appreciate it.
And be sure to, if you missed any links for the NerdCorp Twitter or the website account, well, if you missed the website, it's not going to help you until I talk about it again. But if you missed the Twitters, you missed the Total Wrestling Mag, if you missed anything, or you want to follow us on any other forum that we're on, just go to realnerdcorp.com, RealNerdCorp.com. Check it out. It's good stuff. We post daily. I scrapped the Sunday column because I'm expanding on it because I had so many other different ideas while I'm writing. I was like, no, gotta branch it out. So it's going to be a long one. It'll go up this Sunday. So there you go. With that being said, we're done for the YouTube side of things. So we're gonna flip it and flop it and say goodnight. You can download the rest of the show down below. Otherwise, Marcus, say goodnight to the good people.
Good night, meat.